يستطيعون السمع وأكثرهم كاذبون والشعراء يتبعهم الغاوون ألم تر أنهم في كل واد يهيمون وأنهم يقولون ما لا يفعلون إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وذكروا الله كثيرا وانتصروا من بعد ما ظلموا إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وذكروا الله كثيرا وانتصروا من بعد ما ظلموا وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون صدق الله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين ونصلي ونسلم على سيد البشر سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الأخيار. السلام على إمام الحسين وعلى أولاد إمام الحسين وعلى أصحاب الإمام الحسين ومن الذي يتبع خطواته إلى يوم الدين. نسأل الله أن يجعلنا في آوانهم إلى يوم القيامة. We thank Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this great day for us to remember the revolution of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam. I also thank my noble sheikh, my spiritual leader, my ustaz, and my doctor, Sheikh Abdul Mumin Dalhu, for his continuous support for the Mazhab Ahlulbayt in the northern region and in the whole Ghana at large. We also thank Brother Nash and the entire brotherhood for their support for the Mazhab Ahlulbayt alayhimu salatu wassalam. Today's discussion is going to be based on conflict resolution. The history of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, his revolution. As we study the history, there are important things that we should learn from. One of them is akhlaq, morality, which we discussed some time ago, the foundation of Islam, and how Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam played a role in making sure that being a Muslim or being a Shia is not about incantations, but it is by exhibiting the moral quality of the noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the reflections of the teachings of the Ahlulbayt alayhimu salatu wassalam. So upon looking at the narrations, the history of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam, one important aspect of what happened at Karbala is conflict resolution. Why conflict resolution? Whenever there is a conflict, it could be a political conflict, it could be a family conflict, it could be a political conflict, or maybe a chieftaincy conflict. What role does the Ahlulbayt have to play in making sure that the Ghana within which we live, there is peace? What role do you and I have to play to make sure that there is peace? Whenever there is problem anywhere, does it matter that we call people from the Ahlulbayt fraternity and interview them, even on the media, for them to tell us what the Ahlulbayt actually taught us on how to maintain peace and to resolve our differences and our conflicts? There could be a problem between a wife and a husband, and somebody can kill one another. A wife can kill a husband can kill a wife. Sometimes it's about land disputes. People kill one another because of land. When it comes to religion, one of the most causes of conflict is our religious differences, and it didn't start today. When you look into the history of the noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he appointed Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam to be his successor. But people agitated and took away the political aspect of his leadership, leaving with the spiritual or the religious aspect of his leadership. So whenever there is a problem between them and they cannot even know how to handle it, they have to call on Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam to come and handle the situation. That is when we come to Islamic jurisprudence. When it comes to how to handle issues between one another, Imam Ali was always called upon to come and settle their differences. And that is the more important why we have to discuss this topic. The role of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the role of Imam Ali, the role of Imam Hassan, and the role of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, and how they maintain conflicts that happen. Because we know in the Islamic history, there are people who always tell you that Prophet Muhammad migrated from Mecca to Medina. When they got there, he fought the battle of Badr, Uhud, Handak, and after that, he passed away, and then Abu Bakr became the Khalifa. And then Umar became, and then Osman, and then Ali. They don't tell you the details of what actually happened during the Prophet's time. So we are going to seize this opportunity to discuss the more important topic with the title, Conflict Resolution. Now one may ask, what is conflict resolution? Conflict resolution is a way by which two individuals or more try to find ways and means to settle a dispute or a conflict or a misunderstanding between two or three people. And so whenever there is an issue about a misunderstanding, whenever there is an issue between a Muslim and a Muslim, or a Muslim and a Christian, how does the Ahlulbayt teaches us? Now, when you look at the difference of inter-religious conflicts, that is between Muslims and Christians, in some countries, you go to a mosque, for instance, like we are gathering here, you get somebody who will come and sit down, put a bomb inside his pocket, and blast the whole place, all because of misunderstanding. There's also another cause of conflict, and that has to be with leadership. Whenever there is a problem or there is a leadership vacancy, people struggle for it. Being it democracy, being it chieftaincy, being it religious. And we saw it in the history of Prophet Muhammad and Abu Sufyan. When Prophet Muhammad was preaching about the message of Allah, Abu Sufyan saw him as somebody who wanted to take the leadership from him. And so he fought him day and night. Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam was fought by Muawiyah in trying to take away the leadership position from him. So when we talk about leadership, it has created a lot of problems in history. Between Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam and Muawiyah, he orchestrated the demise and the massacre and the martyrdom of Imam Hassan. And when it comes to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, Yazid also fought him just because of leadership. So leadership has been identified as one of the problems of conflict in our societies. The third one is nifaq. Nifaq, which is misinformation going to listen to something and turning it, polishing it to make it suit your interest. So when you realize the history of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, when he sent his nephew Muslim ibn Aqil to go to Kufa to inquire from them whether they are actually pledging allegiance to him, the moment the supporters of Yazid heard about this information, what did they do? They quickly ran. That time there was no mobile phones. That time there was no internet. But it was too surprised that within the shortest possible time, Yazid has heard that Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam has gotten the bay'ah at Kufa. So he immediately changed Nu'man bin Bashir and then replaced him with Ubaidullah bin Ziyad, who will fight for his interests. So the moment that nifaq went around at Kufa and the leadership was changed, a lot of people started following suit. And then, to the surprise of Imam Hussein, his nephew Muslim bin Aqil was massacred. So nifaq has also been identified as one of the biggest problems. And in fact, the Quran says, "Innal munafiqina lafi darkil asfal minan nar." Those who conspire and create confusion between people, they are part of those who will be set ablaze under the fire of hell. So Allama Musawi Lari has narrated by saying that occasionally it is possible that a suspicion or a mistake or a misunderstanding angers individuals, and often there will be those who will inflame the situation. So when there is a problem, you get somebody who go here, listen to the situation, go here, listen to the same situation, and you try to put the two people who are in conflict, you put their heads together and create problem in the society. So there were people who are moving to Yazid, and there were people who are moving to Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, just trying to gather information, disperse it, and then create problem between the two of them. So nifaq is something that we should all be aware of. To continue the discussion, just a short narration. One of my scholars told me that a chief was having his personal assistant who always he sends to go on an errand. One day a Malam visited the community, and the chief told the Malam that I will let you be part of my supporters and be part of my PAs, that is my personal assistants. So it pained the old personal assistant, so he decided to find ways and means to destroy the Malam. So what did he do? He went to the chief and told the chief that the Malam has planned and plotted to disgrace you in public. And then he went back to the chief, the Malam, and told the Malam that the chief has planned to kill you, to slaughter you, to assassinate you. So what happened? One day, the chief sent his personal assistant to send food to the Malam, and he poisoned the food that he gave to the Malam in such a way that after eating the food, his mouth will be stinking for about 2 days. He cannot talk. If he talks, you have to run away. So on a social gathering, when the chief was seated, and the Malam was also seated by him, when the chief wanted to consult the Malam and share his ideas with him on how to handle the people and the situation at hand, the Malam would turn his head somewhere because his mouth was what? Stinking. The chief tried for about 3 times, and everybody was looking at them, so the chief felt embarrassed. So after the program, this personal assistant went to the chief and told the chief that, didn't I tell you that Malam would disgrace you? Has he not actually orchestrated your disgrace in front of the whole gathering? And the chief said, yes, you actually told me, but I never believed that Malam will actually do this to me. In that case, I will have to find a way and slaughter this Malam. So he gave a letter to the Malam. He invited him and gave him a letter. Take it to this community. They will put something in a polythene bag, bring it back to me. The moment he went out of the chief's palace, he met this personal assistant guy. And he took the letter and told the Malam that, actually the chief wanted to send me, but you overtook me. So let me take the letter to where the chief is asking you to take the letter to. So he took the letter. When Malam went away, he was saying that I'll show Malam that he's actually a fool, because when I bring the message from where I took it, I'll tell the chief that I found the letter in a gutter. So he went, and unfortunately, inside the letter, they have written that anybody who comes with the letter, slaughter him. So he went and he was slaughtered. So the Malam waited for a very long time. His friend was not coming. Innocently, he went and then they gave him a polythene. So he brought it back to the chief. When the chief saw him, he was running away because he thought it was a ghost. And then when the chief asked him, what is in the polythene? He said, I don't know, because you sent me, I couldn't open it. He said, bring it forward. When he opened it, it was the head of this PA, his personal assistant. And he said, you are lucky. It was you I wanted to slaughter because of the disgrace. You disgraced me in public. And the Malam told the chief that I heard this person's head, the ones whose head is on the floor. I heard he came to tell me that you say you slaughter me. So actually you wanted to slaughter me. He said he also came to me and told me that you disgrace me. And actually you disgrace me. So at the end of the day, they all realized that the ones whose head was on the floor was actually the one who was between them, creating the confusion. So Nifaq has actually created a lot of mess in the community. Sometimes a problem will happen. Somebody will feel like, let me forgive, let me forget. But you go to somebody and tell you that, don't agree. Don't mind him. This person, deal with him, do this. He will incite you. And when the problem comes and you are looking for the one who was pushing you, he will be nowhere to be found. Now, Islamic principles of handling conflict is reconciliation. That is sulhu or islah. And in that, Almighty Allah has stated so many times in the Quran. That is, when you look at Quran chapter 49 verses 10, Allah says, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخْوَيْكُمْ. That believers are brethren. So whenever there is a problem between them, find ways and means and resolve it. Almighty Allah knows that just as we are human beings, and He also stated in another part of the Quran that إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا إِنَّ أَكْرَمَكُمْ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَتْقَاكُمْ. That it is we, Allah, that created you and made you males and females. And we divided you among clans, and then we also made you tribes, so that you may identify one another. But the best among you is the one who is pious, the one who is conscious of God's command. So He made us different. So you don't expect me sitting here to become an Ahmadi or to become a Sunni or a Tijaniya. And I wouldn't also expect you to become a Shia at all costs. But what should we do? We should be able to respect one another's free will so that everybody can practice Islam to the perfect of his knowledge. If you know that Ahlulbayt is right and you don't want to follow them, it's up to you and your Allah. But you don't have to use your religion or your belief to force me to do what you want. It cannot happen. That is what happened with Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. Yazid wanted to take over the whole place. And Imam Hussein said, for me, I don't have any problem with you. If you want to control the whole universe, I don't have any problem with you. But allow me and my family and my companions to settle in peace, to live in peace. They attempted to assassinate him in Medina. He left Medina and came to Mecca. When he got to Mecca, he spent about 3 months. When it was time for him to perform Hajj, he had to shorten it and make Umrah and live there because Yazid has sent his soldiers to come there and assassinate him in Mecca as well. He left Mecca and he was moving towards Kufa, and still they chased him there. So you could see the situation. Now, if we discuss sulh or islah, 3 things that one can do to make sure that there is islah or there is sulh or there is reconciliation, there are 3. One is mediation, one is negotiation, and one is arbitration. Negotiation is when 2 people sit down and they agree to find ways and means to settle their own dispute. Maybe I have offended you, and I come to you face to face and tell you that, please, my brother, what I've done, I think I didn't do it well. Or maybe you are the one who offended me, but I'll come to you and tell you that, my brother, what you did to me, I didn't like it. So please, let's make sure that as we are moving ahead, we don't try to make these problems occur again. When the two people meet and they find their own ways and means to solve their own problem, it is called negotiation. And that is tafawud in Arabic language. When it comes to tawasut or wasita, that is when we call mediation. And mediation is when you invite a third person to settle the disputes. And in mediation, sometimes it is the imam, sometimes it is the chief, the Muslim chief, or maybe any opinion leader in the community. A wife can report his issue. This is what my husband is doing to me. And then the imam will look at the situation and try to find amicable ways to handle the situation. Maybe you want to buy something and the price was this. You went back and came back to realize that the guy who was selling the thing has actually doubled the price. So you went to take back your money and the person said, I'm not giving you. You don't want to take the thing to court. You don't want to take it to the police station. So you look for a Muslim chief or an imam. You invite him to be the third person to sit in the situation or sit on the dispute and make sure that he bring the two together and handle the situation. That is called mediation, wasita or tawasut in Arabic language. And we have tahkim. Tahkim is arbitration. And in arbitration, you actually invite a third person, but that third person will be invested with the power to pass judgment during the resolution. So if it's between a wife and a husband, or maybe a father and a son, and one has offended the other, you will tell this one who has offended this one that you are wrong. But in mediation, you don't tell who is right or who is wrong. You just find ways and means to make sure that all of them are happy with the outcome. But with arbitration, you tell the one who is wrong that this thing that you did is wrong, and so therefore you don't have to do it again. If he has to apologize to the other one, he does it. Even if he has to compensate the other one he has offended in arbitration, it is allowed to what? To compensate the other one. That is arbitration. So these are the three. Negotiation, that is the two conflicting parties to solve their own problem. Mediation, a third person will be invited to handle the situation, but he doesn't pass judgment. But in arbitration, the third person who will come to handle the situation will actually pass judgment. So when you look at the issue of marriage, Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that وَإِن خِفْتُمْ شِقَاقَ بَيْنِهِمَا فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا إِنْ يُرِيدَا إِصْلَاحًا يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنِهِمَا. That when there is a marriage problem and then one of them feels, especially the lady feels that what is happening can lead to divorce, what does she do? She has to go and seek for a reconciliation. And during the reconciliation, a representative from the lady's family and a representative from the man's family should come together and find ways and means to handle the marriage situation. And you go to some institutions, they have a special unit responsible for handling family or marital disputes. So this one, that is arbitration, is allowed in Islam. Now, how did the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam exhibited these three things that I'm talking about? Negotiation, arbitration, and then mediation. Number one is through the Charter of Medina. A lot of Muslims are not aware that Prophet Muhammad was the first person to draft a constitution in human history. Before Prophet Muhammad, Allama Tabatabai says that before Prophet Muhammad moved from Mecca to Medina, there were two big tribes known as the Aus and the Khazraj. They have fought for more than 100 years. Any little thing, then the fight comes again, or the conflict arises again. So they needed somebody, a unifier, a third person who will come and then mediate between these two tribes and make sure that peace prevails. So when Prophet Muhammad got to Medina, the first thing he did was the Sigatu Ukhuwa. That is uniting the Ansar and then Muhajirin together, bringing brotherhood amongst them. After that, what did he do? He drafted a 63 articles which has been adopted by the United Nations today. When you look at the article, it talks about religious unity, religious tolerance, where the Jews, the Christians, and then the pagans all have rights to belong to Medina without anybody enforcing Islam on them. So the Charter of Medina, if you discuss it, it's going to take a whole day. But for the purpose of this discussion, the Charter of Medina, the first constitution that was drafted in human history, was done by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The second thing Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did was Sulhul Hudaybiyah. Sulhul Hudaybiyah. This was the time Prophet Muhammad in his dream had a revelation that Allah has commanded him that he should go to Mecca and make Hajj. So he informed his companions. They were all dressed in white robes, and then they were holding their ship moving towards Mecca to make Hajj. When they got to Hudaybiyah, they sent Prophet Muhammad paused and sent Osman to go there and find out whether the community was cool and favorable for him to enter. When Osman went, it took so many time, he wasn't coming. So people even thought that he has been killed. Not knowing that he met some of his relatives whom he left them for Medina. And they are now happy seeing him. So that discussion took a long time before he returned. And then when he was returning, he came along with Suhail, who was sent by the Quraysh or the Meccans to come and represent them, but to tell Prophet Muhammad that this particular year we will not allow you to enter Mecca. And some of the companions of Prophet Muhammad said, no, Prophet, how can you allow them to stop us from entering? We must enter. Especially Umar bin Khattab was one of those who agitated and told the Prophet that you are making me a bit doubtful about your prophethood. If actually Allah says we should enter, why not we enter? And Prophet Muhammad said, be patient. So when Suhail came, he represented the Meccans, and Prophet Muhammad represented the people of Medina. And then they drafted an agreement, a treaty known as the Treaty of Hudaybiyah. And in that treaty, they all agreed that there wouldn't be war between Mecca and Medina for 10 years. And in that treaty, they stated that if somebody is a Meccan and he moves to Medina, Medina people should return him. But if somebody moves from Medina to Mecca, it is not obliged on them to return that person. The third most important point was that if somebody wants to accept any form of religion in Mecca or in Medina, the person has the total right. So Prophet Muhammad agreed, and they all signed this treaty of Hudaybiyah. And when you look at, according to Clayton Corradin, who is not a Muslim, he said Hudaybiyah agreement can be examined in the framework of international relations using the theories of diplomacy and negotiation. A key component of international relations is diplomacy and negotiation, which allow nations or other political entities to accomplish their goals through discussion and compromise, as opposed to using force or going to war. And Perry Smith also says that international bodies like the United Nations has adopted treaties as a means of resolving conflict among member states. During the Vienna Convention in 1969, treaties were adopted from the Hudaybiyah Pact as a form of agreement between two or more sovereign states in order to end conflicts. So the Treaty of Hudaybiyah was adopted by all international bodies. Constitutionalism, which Prophet Muhammad instituted in Medina, has been accepted by everywhere, and there is no state in Ghana today, in the world today, that do not use constitution. Even smaller organizations have their own constitution. Finally, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after the conquest of Mecca, if you were the one whose uncle Hamza has been killed, and his heart has been cut open, and his heart has been removed and chewed, and then you have power over such a person who did that, what will you have done? What will you have done? You retaliate. So in conflict resolution, After you have bring peace between the two conflicting parties, the one who has been offended must be what? Must be patient and try to what? Forgive. Prophet Muhammad left his house, his parents' house, his grandparents. They lived Mecca so many years before he was born. But after the conquest of Mecca, he never asked them that, where's my father's house? I'm going to take it back. He never asked, who are those who have participated in Badr and Uhud? Let me punish them. But what did he say? He said, no blame will be there upon you today. Allah will forgive you, and he is the most merciful of all the merciful. That is what Prophet Muhammad said. So he forgave everybody who offended him, who drove him out of his mother's land, his father's land, who drove him and even prosecuted him and his followers. So these are the three major things we shall look at as Prophet Muhammad's contribution to conflict resolution. Number two, what was the role of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam in conflict resolution? Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, the first thing he did was sabr, patience. And in some of his narrations, he said that sabartu wa fi ayni kada. I became patient to the extent that I didn't know what to do. Even if you look at my face, you realize that yes, it is as if I'm afraid. Ashidda'u ala al-kufar, just as the Quran says, ruhama'u. You see him as a warrior who is ready to sacrifice everything he has for Islam. But when it comes to issues between Muslims, you see him as a baby. He will act as if he doesn't care, but he knows what he's doing. So when the leadership position was taken away from him, he should have mobilized his supporters to fight. But what did he do? He was patient. And even at the time that they need him, there was a time somebody came to Umar and reported that this lady has committed adultery. So let us slaughter her. Umar passed the judgment. When they were taking the lady, Ali ibn Abi Talib saw them and asked them, why are you taking her? He says he has been judged to have been committed zina, so we are going to punish her. And he told them that what is the evidence? He said this is the evidence. There was a cloth, and the lady testified that the cloth belonged to her. And inside the cloth there is a sperm. So Ali ibn Abi Talib told them that go back to Umar's palace. I'm coming there. When they returned, they told them what Ali has told them. And he said, how? Ali to cause trouble. Anything you want to enter. No problem, I will wait. So he waited until Ali came. And when he came, he told them that put water on fire. Everybody was surprised. How can you tell us to put water on fire when we are going to judge a zina case? But because of the respect they had for him, they had to oblige. So when the water was hot, he told them that they should bring the evidence. So they brought the cloth within which the sperm was in. And he asked them to pour the hot water on the cloth. And when they poured on it, the sperm clotted. So he removed some and ate and told them that this is egg, it's not sperms. And that is one of the instances where Umar said, Lawla Ali la haraka Umar. Ali, Ya Ali, Ya Ali. So he settled the confusion, the disturbances that was even going to lead to somebody's death. In another instance, somebody gave birth at the age of 6 months. Within 6 months, the person gave birth. And when the person gave birth, the husband came and reported the case that my wife has committed adultery. Because I married her, after 6 months, she has delivered. So when the issue was judged, they were to have gone to punish this woman. And Ali ibn Abi Talib asked them to return. I'll come and see you. When he got there, he asked Umar that, don't you know that in the Quran, Allah has mentioned that the pregnancy and breastfeeding is 30 months. وَحَمْلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ ثلاثون شهرا. If somebody is pregnant and the person is breastfeeding a child, when you put these two together, it is constituting up to what? 30 months. He said, yes, I remember that verse. And he told him again that, do you remember that Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has also stated in another verse that those who are pregnant, when they give birth, they should breastfeed their children for 2 years. يُرْضِعْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنَّ هَوْلَيْنِ كَامِلَيْنِ. That they should breastfeed their children for 2 years. He said, yes, I remember that verse. He said 30 months is equivalent to how many months? How many years? He said 30 months is equivalent to 12 plus 12, 24. Okay, so it will be 2 years, 6 months. And he asked him, if it is 2 years, 6 months, then what happens to the 2 years Allah said we should use to breastfeed our children? If you subtract the 2 years from this 30 months, how many months left? He says 6 months. And he told them that if that is the case, according to the Quran, somebody can be pregnant and give birth to the child when the child is already 6 months in the womb. And that ended the confusion and why they wanted to kill that woman. Imam Ali was too wise, and there is a narration that Ana Medinatul Ilm wa Ali Babuha. When you look into Tirmizi, it has been changed, but I love the way it has been narrated. It has been stated that Ana Madinatul Hikmah wa Aliyu Babuha. And there's difference between knowledge and hikmah. Knowledge is having ideas, either by inspiration or by experience or by reading other documents. But wisdom is how to be able to apply this particular knowledge in such a way that everybody's heart will be filled with happiness. That is wisdom. وَمَنْ أُوتِيَ الْحِكْمَةِ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. Allah says anybody who has been given wisdom has been given the greatest thing in this world. So Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam was using hikmah, wisdom, to solve all the problems that was happening at the time of Abu Bakr and Umar and Usman. When Usman took power, for the first 6 months, narrations have been told that he was actually doing well. But for the second 6 months, he started appointing wrong people to particular positions. So people came all the way from Iraq. People came all the way from Egypt with anger. And when they approached Umar, they told Umar that those people you have appointed on authorities over us, we don't want them. So change them. But they cannot do so without talking to Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam first. And when they talked to Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, what did Imam Ali do? He did a negotiation with them. He told them that be patient. I'm already here with him. I've been advising him day in, day out. So please, I'm begging on you. I'm going to be your mediator between you and Usman. And I'm going to advise him, I said, so that he will stop all these things that he is doing. Because some people were even calling some of his actions as kufr. And the narrations is clear. It's not a made-up story. So Imam Ali played the role of a negotiator and a mediator between the rebels who came from Iraq and Egypt and between Osman. And if he played that role, if it was you and me, we wouldn't have done it. Because somebody took something that belongs to you. Others are coming to fight him and you still stand between them and say, no, please have patience, I'll talk to him. So one of the ways of achieving reconciliation is by what? Is by mediation and negotiation, as we started earlier. And Imam Ali over here played the role of a negotiator and then a mediator between the two conflicting parties. So these people went away. On their way going, they saw somebody riding on a horse, and they suspected the person because the way the person was moving, he was moving suspiciously. So they held him and searched him, and they saw a letter. And inside that letter, it has been written that those who are coming with, those who came to Medina, when they returned back to Egypt, punish them. So when they saw this letter, They became angry, so they had to move back to Medina to go and then kill Osman bin Affan. And when they moved there, what did Imam Ali do? He still sent his sons Hassan and Hussein to go and protect Osman. Look at the man of peace. Hatta till even Imam Hassan got injured in the process. Because it's like you are in this room and about 1,000 people are surrounding. Everybody is trying to enter with anger to come and kill you. And only 2 people protecting you. They protected him until one of them was able to break through the window, entered into the room, and then slaughtered Osman. Look at this situation. After all these things happened, the wife of the Prophet, Talha and Zubair, said Ali was involved in this assassination. And so therefore, they don't want to accept the leadership of Ali after the demise of Osman. So they organized themselves, convinced some other Muslims, and then they marched towards Basra to go and attack. When they were on their way, Imam Ali was writing letters. Be patient. Let us all make investigation into the issue. Those who are responsible, they'll be brought to book. So be patient. When they got to Basra and mobilized themselves, Imam Ali was still negotiating with them that be patient. Have you seen this sword of mine? The Prophet said, anybody attached with this sword, that person is going to hell. So don't let me touch you with my sword. But still, they wouldn't listen. They came and got defeated. And after they were defeated, what happened? If you catch a captive, what do? You enslave the captive, is that not it? But what did Imam Ali do? He sent Sayyidah Aisha, the wife of the Prophet, safely back home. If it were you and me, would you have done that? No. Somebody wants to kill you, he want your death. And then you are able to get hold of the person. And you escort the person back home safely. You wouldn't have done it. But yet, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, the man of peace, did this, which we must emulate. So maybe when there's an issue of maybe conflict, whether tribal issue, whether it's a political issue or whatever, we are going into election this year. And in this election, we have been told that democracy is the best for us. But everywhere in this world, democracy, anytime they are going for election, there's a bit of what? Some tension. Yesterday or last 3 days? They shot a gun at Donald Trump. He was addressing people in Pennsylvania, and they shot a gun, and blood started coming out of his ears. And some people who were at the gathering died instantly. So even in America, where they are claiming to be the propagators of democracy, democracy is hunting them. But they don't want to accept the Islamic leadership of Wali al-Amr. That is what is being practiced in Iran. They don't want to accept that. They don't want to accept Wilayat al-Faqih as being practiced in Iran. Yet, they are trying to push this capitalism, this socialism and whatever on our necks. After sending Aisha back home and all the army dispersed, some were killed, but majority of them, they spared their lives after they arrested the gang leader. Muawiyah was also saying that, I don't recognize the leadership of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. And so therefore, Imam Ali should bring the killers of Hussein to book. If not that, I'm not going to accept his leadership. The leader, those who assassinated Osman, he should bring them to book. So what happened? Letters and exchange of letters. Imam Ali will write, they will reply. They will write, Imam Ali will reply. And those letters are there. You can go and read and make a whole lot of studies in the letters. But for the purpose of this discussion, Muawiyah declared war on Imam Ali. And the sad thing about the leadership of Imam Ali is that immediately Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed on, and the leadership was not given to him. There were still some sincere people who were supporting Ali from day one, and they never parted ways with him. At the time of Umar, all the people were still in the camp of Ali, paying allegiance to him. But after the assassination of Usman, those who were not in the favor of Ali, they all came together and mingled up. So now it became difficult for him. People who sincerely love you, they are with you. And people who don't actually love you, they have also come to join you because they don't have any other way to go. So when Muawiyah declared war on Imam Ali, and they met at the Battle of Siffin, and he was actually defeated, his advisor, Amr ibn As, advised them that they should put the leaves of the Quran, they should raise it high, to tell the army of Ali that they have surrendered. Wala hukuma illa lillah. That we are going to use Quran to judge this situation. You see the situation. The person who came to attack, the person who came to kill and destroy Imam Ali, now after losing, is now trying to find another foul play to change the whole scenario. And during that instance, Imam Ali said, no, these people are making a mockery of us. They are trying to deceive us. Let us continue and finish all of them. And the camp of Imam Ali got divided into two. The sincere supporters from day one were at his side, and those who came to join were at another side. And they were many. They were in their numbers. They said, no, we cannot fight again. They've raised the Quran and you want us to continue fighting? No, it cannot happen. And Imam Ali told them that if they actually wanted to judge this particular issue with the Quran, they should have consulted me first, because I am a walking Quran. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So when that happened, the camp got divided. And because of how the pressure was coming upon Imam Ali, he had to accept arbitration. He had to accept for them to go on an arbitration. When you read the arbitration history, and you look at the definition of arbitration, it doesn't fit. What is arbitration from the discussion? We are told that arbitration is when you appoint a third person to come and judge a case between two people without going to court, without employing lawyers. So that is what we study in alternative dispute resolution. They have offices where they don't go to court. If you want your case to be solved at home, sometimes it could even end up in the police station. But they will withdraw the case from the police station. Some of the cases are in court, but the court will say that no, the nature of this case, take it back home and resolve it. So they will withdraw the case from the court or from the police station and come and settle it at home. That is alternative dispute resolution. And arbitration is one of the processes. And during arbitration, a third person sits on the case. But instead, if you go and look into all the books, they are all mentioning arbitration. Meanwhile, it was a negotiation. It was a negotiation between Ali, alayhi salatu wasalam, and then Muawiyah. And Muawiyah appointed Amr ibn As, his special advisor. And Imam Ali appointed Malik Ashtar. He appointed about 3 or 4 different people. They said, no, we want Abu Musa rather. You see the confusion. He, the leader, proposing his representative. And they said, no, we don't want your representative. We have also chosen our representative to go and mediate with the representative of what? Of Muawiyah. So instead of describing the situation as a mediation or a negotiation, it should rather be a negotiation, but not an arbitration. But that is how all the books they have written, that it was an arbitration. And the most sad thing about it is, after they have stopped the war, and Imam Ali has returned to Kufa, and Muawiyah has returned to Basra, those people who said Imam Ali should agree for the arbitration, they came back to him and told him that no, the arbitration, we have gone to sit down and realize that it's not going to help. Let's go and fight. After they have pushed him to accept the arbitration, they told him that no, we no more want the arbitration. Let us go and fight. And Imam Ali said, no, I have agreed and given them my word, and so therefore I cannot go beyond my word. So let us wait for the results of the arbitration. And these people went away because Imam Ali told them this. So they all went and formed their own group known as the Khawarij or the Kharijites. You get the situation. So these people went out and formed their own group called the Kharijites or the Khawarij. And now when the arbitration was ended, and then it didn't go in favor of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, because they agreed that Imam Ali is the problem, Muawiyah is the problem. So let us remove all of them from their political positions, so that we appoint a neutral person. So the spokesperson of Imam Ali, that is Abu Musa, he went and said, we have agreed to remove Muawiyah and Yazid and Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam from the position, just as I'm removing my ring from my hand. And Amr ibn As was also going with his ring in his hand. You see, Abu Musa, the representative of Ali ibn Abi Talib, he has come and removed the leadership position from Ali. Muawiyah is not a Khalifa. He is just a subordinate governor somewhere. So if he has removed the whole Muslim leadership, we are also putting the leadership of the Muslim Ummah in the hands of what? Muawiyah, just as I'm wearing my ring. And anger came, and then the whole place was scattered. Imam Ali went back to these Khawarij people and told them that you actually pushed me that let us go for the war. So now that the arbitration didn't go in our favor, let us go for the war. And they told Imam Ali that no, we are no more going to the war again. Have you seen the whole situation? If you find yourself in this situation, what will you do? In the beginning, let us finish them. And then if they had accepted for them to continue the war, the Muslim Ummah will have been ruled till the natural death of Imam Ali. And the way the Muslim community has been disunited, the way the Muslim community is scattered, the way we have wrong narrations, wrong hadiths, everybody is trying to create his own way of Islam and other things, wouldn't have been there. Everybody would have moved towards the line of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. But these Khawarij people, they said, no, let us stop the fight. Later they came to Imam Ali, let us go and fight. Imam Ali said, let's wait for the results of the arbitration. After arbitration, he came back to them and told them, let us go and fight. They said, no, we will not go and fight again. You have offended Allah by going to the arbitration, so we will not follow you again. Imam Ali now decided that if you will not join me, I'll mobilize my own army and then go to Syria and finish everything. After he mobilized the whole army, he just heard that these Khawarij people are in Nahrawan fighting. They are killing Muslims. So he had to leave his movement from Syria and now to where? To Nahrawan.
Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Labbaik ya Hussein. Labbaik
Ya Hussein.
Labbaik ya Hussein.
Labbaik ya Hussein.
Labbaik ya Hussein.
Labbaik ya Hussein. Now, after they have gone to Nahrawan, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam had to leave movement with his army, that is towards Syria, rather than to Nahrawan. And after the Nahrawan war, or the battle, the Khawarij decided that let us assassinate 3 people. Amr ibn As, Muawiyah, and then Imam Ali. And they were only successful in the assassination of Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. Now after the assassination of Imam Ali, who is now the boss? Muawiyah is now the boss, controlling Mecca, Egypt, Medina, everywhere, except for some few people who still pledged allegiance to Imam Hassan in Kufa. Some few people. Now, if we are living in this situation, we have not even reached the tenure of Imam Hussein yet. But look at how his father has been dealt with. If you are a child coming up and you meet this situation, how can you deal with it? Because the nifaq that we were talking about, this is where the nifaq played a major role. Those who claimed that they supported Imam Ali, at the battlefield, they went away. They betrayed him. Let us go and fight again. They said no. Let us go for arbitration. They said no. It's like you don't know what they want. So Imam Hassan was given the mantle to control the little community left in Kufa. Not even everybody in Kufa was in support of Imam Hassan, because Imam Hassan wanted to mobilize an army. But it was difficult for him to mobilize that army because he doesn't know whom to trust. And then Muawiyah was now terrorizing the supporters of Imam Hassan. So, innocently, to end the bloodshed, what should I do? Let us go and then drink on a peace pipe. Let us go and sit down, put things on paper, agree on terms and conditions, so that this bloodshed will what? Will end. So whenever there is an issue, imagine what is happening in Palestine. Our condolences to our brothers in Palestine. Look at what is happening there. The Quran says, وَلَن تَرْضَى عَنْكَ الْيَهُودُ وَلَن نَصَارَى حَتَّى تَتَّبِعَ مِلَّتَهُمْ. The Yahudu and the Nasara will never be pleased with you unless you accepted their way or you join them. When you put this verse on the head of Yazid, Muawiyah and Co, it's the same thing. When you are reading the Quranic science, that is Ulumul Quran, they will tell you that Nuzul awul wahi la li khususiyatu sabab wa innama li umumul labs. The revelation is only coming because of a situation, but the inference of the verse is not about that situation alone. It's cut across everything. So when you put this particular verse on those who wanted the Ahlulbayt to accept only their ways before they leave, are the Umayyad dynasty. They dealt seriously with the Hashemites or the Banu Hashim. Now, Imam Hassan alayhi salatu wasalam, he wrote a letter to Muawiyah and told him that let us drink on a peace pipe so that this conflict, this disagreement, everything will end. And you know what happened? There were people who are in Kufa who are also saying that, why should you go and write a peace agreement with Muawiyah? You have also heard, you shouldn't have gone to write a peace agreement with him. Meanwhile, let us mobilize an army to fight. You say no. So he was left in a situation where he had to go and what? Accept the negotiation. And the negotiation was that if Muawiyah should die and Hassan is alive, Hassan will be the next leader for the Muslims. But if Hassan should die before Muawiyah, and then Muawiyah is about to die, he should hand over the leadership to Imam al-Hussein. This is the agreement. This is the peace treaty. Because now it is no more going to be like between Imam Ali and and Muawiyah, because Imam Ali is controlling Kufa and Medina and some part of Mecca. And then Muawiyah is controlling some part of Syria, some people in Mecca and Medina and in Egypt. So they were all having their own territories. And nobody moved into another person's territory. But now, Muawiyah is taking over the whole place. And so, for the people of the Ahlulbayt to be safe, Ali has to go and negotiate. Imam Hassan has to go and negotiate. And when he went for the negotiation, he said, no, I'm not going to fight you. Take it, enjoy. But when you are dying, it should be left for me to continue the leadership. If I die, it should come to my brother. And they signed. Even Yazid didn't come into the situation. He was not part of anything. So if you go and read the negotiations, you will not see his name there. Unfortunately, Imam Hassan, before the death of Muawiyah, Imam Hassan has been poisoned. And when Imam Hassan died, they gave their allegiance to Imam Hussein. Muawiyah is still alive. Muawiyah is now old. He's about to die. What should he do? He should follow the treaty, the peace agreement. But what did he do? He said, I signed this agreement with Hassan, but today I'm going against the agreement. When I die, my son Yazid should take over. If you are in the shoes of Hussein, what would you do? Imam Ali fought. He fought Camel, he fought Siffin, he fought Naharwan. Imam Hassan went for a peace agreement. It is now the turn of Imam Hussein. If you are in his shoes, tell me what you will have done. And people will be surprised why we are mourning, why we are mourning, why we are mourning. You don't know why we should mourn Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam. You don't know that even when Nabila Yusuf, whom the father knew he hasn't died, has just been separated from him, the father cried until he became what? Blind. The father wept. He mourned and mourned and mourned till he became blind, even though he knew very well that his son was still alive. And now, you don't want us to mourn somebody who has died physically, who has been brutally killed. The reason why we are mourning is because, number one, mourning is not haram. There is no narration, either from the Quran or anywhere, instituting that mourning is haram. That's number one. Number two, there are prophets of Allah who had mourned, including Nabiullah Yaqub. More to the point, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when one of his sons, Ibrahim, died, he cried. And they asked the Prophet, by a prophet of Allah, why are you crying? He said, it is by human nature. Allah has created it as part of human nature that if something befalls you and it is sad, naturally, whether you like it or not, you will be sad and you will shed tears and you cry and you mourn. Finally, the reason why we are mourning Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam is because we are mourning to remember his legacy. We march on 6th March 1957 up till today because we want to keep alive our freedom from the Europeans on the 6th March 1957. But with the Imam Hussein, we want to mourn Imam Hussein yearly, and we will continue to mourn until our lives are no more, because we want to keep his revolution alive. And if the whole world has agreed to keep the revolution of Imam Hussein alive, the whole Muslim community will have united to join our brothers in Palestine to fight for their freedom. In my hometown language, there is an adage that says, "So kotusa abuwa bi si unia so akachre nse sori yeso, man ka say on sori no so. Fi so different so or the beba also." If you go and see an animal attacking a friend or a brother, don't say leave him alone. Tell the animal to leave us alone. Because if you are saying you are not in the shoes of the person, tomorrow after the person is killed, the animal can come back to you and also deal with you. So tomorrow, inshallah, when we meet, we shall delve into Imam Hussein, his contribution towards world peace, his contribution towards conflict resolution, and then we shall juxtapose it to our communities, how we can implement this. So that anytime there is an issue in Ghana, at least we will get the media and all the other houses informed that the Ahlulbayt Muslim community is having experts in conflict resolution. So anytime there is problem, they should also count on us so that we also contribute our quota to the peace that we are enjoying in the country Ghana. Thank you all very much, and thank you, my spiritual leader, Sheikh Abdul Mumin Dalhu, all our brothers over here, and then my Al-Hajj Mala Nash, and the current Al-Hajj. I've not seen him over here. Al-Hajj 1, no signs.
لبيك يا حسين
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 لبيك
كربلاء إمام حسين إمام حسين إمام حسين شهيد كربلاء كربلاء إمام حسين إمام حسين إمام حسين شهيد كربلاء إمام حسين إمام حسين إمام حسين شهيد كربلاء باسمك ربك كاشف البلاء ثم الصلاة لصاحب اللواء
كمتنا لا تميا
بلاء باسمك ربك كاشف البلاء ثم الصلاة لصاحب اللواء بلاء والأهلبيت مصطفى نبي خاصة حسين سيد شهداء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد بلاء والأهلبيت المصطفى نبي خاصة حسين سيد شهداء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد بلاء شهر وفيه بحر دموع دم لأبناء الأنبياء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد بلاء شهر وفيه بحر دموع دم لأبناء الأنبياء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد بلاء من صلب فاطمة زهراء زم القتيل بأرض كربلاء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد بلاء من صلب فاطمة الزهراء زم القتيل بأرض كربلاء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد كربلاء يا أهل بيتي يا كرماء لولاكم لا أرض وسماء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد كربلاء يا أهل بيتي يا كرماء لولاكم لا أرض وسماء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد كربلاء كذبوا حسينا رموه بالجفاء بل قاتلوه وأسفكوا الدماء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد كربلاء كذبوا حسينا رموه بالجفاء بل قاتلوه في كربلاء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد كربلاء حاصروه نعم بدون ماء يا أهل بيت نفسي الفداء إمام الحسين إمام الحسين إمام الحسين شهيد كربلاء
بالبقايا عندما نقول وفانتي ورحمة ويجينا كتير مال إمام حسين كله عندما نقول رحمة كامل لركوني نام الموت تنتي زرع أزاها حركة دنيا تجيسي نقول وركة كم أنا نويم نمجلا dento nyala bambo mana imam Hussein kulungo ma dento nyala bobo mime ngule nya Hussein nere kammi atinya ko kule karmal daraja yala dabam ento ko serle dento nyala o dangzo ka ayabo ban boy zalanum dento nyala o bazgo dento nyala o mazgo dento nyala o bihizgo dento nyala o paabi o yidanzgo bal dento nye o yabdo bi o yapazgo to amma gani kamal hankala nyin yulmenya imam Hussein mulenyo yaba imam Hussein o yabdo no yapanya ngone nikaya understand wo yabdu annab Muhammad
sallallahu alayhi wa alihi
wo yapa Khadija umma Sayyida Fatima oba Imam Ali pahmiale bamboza han lam kayi Imam Hussein manawo o brada manya Imam Hassan ban ka annabiyal ne aljannatu ndan nan bala aljannatu ndan nan ma yuno ka bu kushamma wo kul kutu man ye bam wal jahilanci ni jalinsi bu suhrane ni ti harsham jahilanci ni jalinsin la'am bani ka bu yunale socialma Imam Hussein wo kule diyamane le me harka dunia tiyisi ezo te para te mabi Sheikh Ismail pasta o yekatna kakana inte participate ka toase ka tete zan dalan kulma na wi sabiane on continue biane Sheikh Ismail pasta on continue ne message ma dalen yen nyere climax ma biana atane Sheikh Ismail pastor ne continue anti talamma na woni iko pune atalata dale yen nyere climax ma the final day mbala na woni iko ne rizqo na woni wala antizaha annabi no yang nam ma rahma pune عندما نعود ولقيت من النبي نو ينم سنسوني ترفت عيننا أبدا في الدنيا والآخرة لبيك يا حسين 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 تبايا بيانك تيام كونتينو السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته
ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.